What is going on, my friends? Welcome to the next episode of the Fit and Healthy Sioux Falls Show. We have some fun planned for you today as we dive into another episode of Meet the Coach with our client coordinator of our central location, who I tell you what, without her organizational skills and without her making sure we're all staying on track, I don't know, but all of our energetic, off the wall type ideas, it might just throw our business into a whirlwind. Let's thank the good Lord for our friend and guest today, Coach Jill. Let's dive in to today's episode. Well, Jill, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Man, this is fun. So we've recorded Ryan's and Jason's. Now we get to sit and have some chat with you. And it's been awesome because I've been able to actually learn stuff about both of them that I didn't even know.
Awesome.
And I think what's so fun about this is our clients, right? We're a 30-minute gym.
Mm-hmm.
So they come in 30 minutes and all the attention is on them, which it should be.
Right.
But this is cool because it kind of gives everybody watching or listening kind of an inside look to our lives, right?
Yep.
So what I want to first start out with, Jill, is number one, like, what is your role here at FitBody?
Sure. So I am the client coordinator.
Yes.
I'm also a coach.
Yep.
So part of my time I'm coaching on the floor, or I'm the floor coach. I'm also the client coordinator, which means I'm very focused on the trials.
Yep.
The people coming in for the first time, walking them through that process, just making sure they have the best experience possible up until they decide to join us as a member.
Yeah, because joining a gym can be, and it was for me back in the day as well, it can be a very intimidating thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Have you ever experienced, like, I think they coin it gym intimidation, like gym intimidation. Have you ever experienced that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a couple different times. A couple different places that I've gone.
Yeah, and you don't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
And you walk in, you feel a lot of place. So how important is it to, FitBody, but then obviously with you being the client coordinator, how important is it that we, are really giving those coming in for the first time a great experience?
I think it's huge, just based on past experience.
Yeah.
Walking in and being intimidated and no one introducing themselves, no one kind of taking you under their wing to, so to speak, to help you understand, or like, hey, I'll be your buddy, I'll walk you through,
Yep.
So I feel like in my role, I make sure that happens.
Yes.
One, I reach out before they even start,
Yep.
In most cases, and just say, hey, just so you have a name, I may not be there at your first session, but just so you have a name to connect with, I'm going to walk you through this process. Here's what you can expect on your first visit.
Yeah.
And then obviously it's communicating with the team. I mean, we all know who's coming in for their first time. I feel like we do a really good job making sure that doesn't happen, that people have that best experience. They don't walk in and feel like they're not welcome.
Yep.
They don't feel like intimidated that they're not going to be good enough, that, a lot of people that are starting haven't been working out for quite a while. And I think that's one of the biggest fears is, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And so it's really walking them, letting them know what to expect, walking them through. But then when they get here, taking the time to say more than just our normal walkthrough, saying, here are the exercises for today.
Yep.
But here are some ways that you can, adjust it.
Yep.
And not making them wait until the warm up to actually see that there are ways they can adjust.
Yeah.
Just letting them know and convincing them that we're going to meet you where you're at.
Yep.
You are going to love it here.
Because everybody starts at a different point.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing that really I have enjoyed about FitBody is we literally do have every fitness level, every size, every shape, every ability.
Yep.
And it's fun to see them all working together in a group setting.
Absolutely.
Because that can be intimidating.
Yeah.
Like the gym itself is already intimidating. And then to add the group aspect of it.
Right.
And so you're there already reaching out, making sure that they know, hey, I might not be there, but I'm Jill. I'm going to help you out with this trial. And then after their first workout, we also then always do a first workout call. So why don't you explain a little bit what is the first workout call and why do we do it?
Sure. So I think it's really important. Sometimes if I do happen to be here, I, give them great job, nice job, awesome job. Here's what to expect. But then I also reach out and I call them. Well, if they work out in the morning, I'll call them that afternoon and say, hey, how you feeling? If it's a night workout, I'll reach out the next morning.
Sure.
Just to reiterate, it's common that your muscles you're going to be feeling it. You might be a little bit sore. It's okay. Don't feel that you're unique in that, oh, I'm so out of shape, I can't even move.
Yeah.
Here's some things that you can do to combat that, but it's absolutely normal.
Yep.
You're working some muscles that you may not have worked for a while, and they're just letting you know that you worked them hard, and that's good. This is to be expected. Here are some things you can do to combat that. Really also just encouraging them, like, hey, that might have been the roughest day that you've had, but it's going to get better from here. Like, I know your body's yelling at you, but keep moving. The best thing you can do is come back, keep moving those muscles. Yeah. Also just asking them about the experience so that if for some reason they did feel confused or they weren't sure what to do, they didn't understand the format, getting that feedback from them right away so that we can make the next experience when they come in even better or, fix whatever maybe they didn't understand.
Because as good as we want to believe that we are, at the end of the day, we're human. Right. And so at the end of the day, we can have the best intent, the best process, but then something goes wrong and next thing you know, we dropped a ball in some area. And so getting that feedback from them right away and then correcting anything that maybe didn't go to their likeliness or their standard.
I mean, and it's a lot. Like, they're coming in on their first day and they're learning, they're just hearing a lot of information. Yeah. So I was at the noon session today and that was tenured people and they're not, they didn't listen to the warm up and they still didn't know how to do the exercise. So it's just a lot of information coming at them. So it's just reiterating that to them and
making sure that, hey, we're there with you every step of the way because everybody's steps are different.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. I'd like to dive into a little bit too, and this has been fun as I've been talking with some of the coaches. When did like health and fitness or the wantingness to embark on your own health and fitness journey, when did that kind of start in your life for you? Around what year was that? And like, where were you at with your health and fitness?
Sure. Like a lot of people say, like, I was always an athlete. Like, I really wasn't that much of an athlete. I tried to be.
Sure. Did you play sports?
I attempted.
Okay.
I played tennis when I was younger. And then, but like in high school, I was in gymnastics.
Okay.
Which is a sport.
Yes.
It's a tough sport. I was not the greatest at it, but so I was always doing something.
Yeah.
I just wasn't, like, my husband is like the superstar athlete. I was not that person.
Yeah.
So, I think as I was getting older, because, we all go through that where we gain 10, we lose 10, we gain 10, we lose 10. That's just life. And I think as I got older, and my metabolism, I think, started slowing down a little bit.
Yeah.
And for a while, I was not leading a very healthy lifestyle.
Sure.
So once I quit drinking alcohol and working out a little bit more, then I think it's just, I got to a point where I wasn't losing those 20 pounds this time. Yep. Like, I've always rebounded back, and I just couldn't rebound back. And I feel like maybe in my 40s, maybe in my mid 30s, I was still on track, kind of going back and forth a little bit. But then once I hit 40, I actually quit drinking around that time. And then I was healthy for a while, but I moved here from Omaha, and I think that I got very comfortable.
Sure.
And I was out of my routine. I had belonged to a gym. I had friends that I worked out with there.
Yep.
We went for walks around the lake. We went to the gym, and I didn't have that when I first moved here to
That was
Sioux
in
Falls.
Omaha.
That was in Omaha. So when I first moved here.
What year did you move to Sioux Falls?
I moved here in 2016.
Okay. This is so wild. So I've done Jason's and Ryan's, and now we're shooting yours. And this probably 2016 wasn't the year that you started, but 2016 was both Ryan and Jason's year that they started focusing on their health and fitness.
That's a big year.
And then 2016 happened to be a year for you. And I was talking with them later, and I told them, I said, well, man, I opened Fit Body in 2015. All of you guys must have subconsciously known, like, hey, it's 2016. We better start doing something because eventually we're going to be working at this gym that just opened. He's going to need us.
Exactly.
So you move here.
Yeah. So, I feel like I kind of got out of a routine, didn't have that support. So it was maybe a couple years where I kind of got off track. And then I think in like 2018, I started doing an app that I saw online.
Yep.
It was all virtual, but it was just basically like tracking your food, but you could also watch videos. They had recipes, things like that. So I started doing that, and I did have good progress, but then it's just me holding me accountable, and I don't do the best with that.
Yeah.
I really like when I have more I wouldn't say competition, like friendly competition, or when people hold me accountable.
Yeah.
So I did that for a little while, and then I got to a point, I think it was probably maybe 2019 or 20, where I joined a coaching community.
Yep.
And I had a one-on-one coach, but also a community, and that was still virtual as well.
Yep.
And I did awesome. Like at first,
Sure.
I was just like, but then as soon as I don't have that accountability, I struggle.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of progress, and I feel like I've been close to maintaining.
Yep.
I'm maybe 10 pounds, 15 where I was at my best, I would say, my most healthy.
Yep.
But I started working out at a gym, and I did really well because I was working out with my husband, and it was very close to home. It was very convenient, and it kept me going. And I probably went to the gym more in that time than I've ever gone in my whole entire life.
Yeah.
But then it just got to this point where the culture was not a good fit for me.
Yep.
And I didn't want to go anymore. So that's when I really realized, one, it helps me to be accountable when other people are encouraging me and wanting to see me succeed, and they're like-minded.
Yep.
And two, I need to be surrounded by a community of people, and I need to have a fun environment where I feel like I matter there.
Yeah. And
I don't feel like I was getting that. So that's when I came to Fit Body.
Yep.
I came first to do a trial.
And what year was that roughly? That was like 2020. Was that like 2022, 2023?
It was 23.
Yeah,
it was
like
early though, like January, because then I did the
Yep.
Spartan in February after that.
Yep.
And then I came back, I think, like in June or something.
Yeah. Yep.
After the Spartan. So I was a member for not a real long time before I applied to become a coach.
Yep.
But I knew immediately, like, this was the environment that I was looking for.
Yeah.
Like I said, I did the workouts, but I wasn't feeling motivated to do it.
Yep.
I only went because my husband was going, and he would hold me accountable, but then I didn't enjoy the experience. So
sure.
I love being here because it's something I look forward to doing.
Yep.
I know the workouts are always going to be fun. There's always going to be people that I want to see that are going to make me laugh, that are going to make me smile. And I do better in that type of environment than just going at home and doing weights on my
And what's
own.
cool is, like, you and I didn't plan this, but we both happened to work out at the same time today.
Right.
And we had Coach Carly on the mic.
Yep.
And there's always just some type of, I would say, outside of the norm banter that happens among the coaches and among the clients that are in that session.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that today's was a AMRAP, which was 6 minutes at each station.
Right.
And Coach Carly had more than enough time to just sit there and talk about whatever she wanted.
And she did.
And she did. And throughout that workout, we ended up kind of really having some fun with her.
Yeah.
And then even saying, like, hey, we'll pay you to stop talking. And just that, you don't get that via online.
No.
You don't get that via virtual.
Right.
And that is only something that a live, in-person group environment can offer.
Right.
And it just keeps you going. I remember we left there, smiles on our face, feeling accomplished, feeling proud of ourselves for doing that workout, sweat dripping.
Yep.
And that is what it's all about. And every different fitness level doing it together.
Yeah.
Right? So I love that. So 2020 is when you really 2018, you decided, hey, I needed to start doing something more. You joined that coaching community. 2020, you start joining a gym. You're doing it with your husband. How important, and maybe even how do you and your husband, incorporate the healthy lifestyle as a married couple? And you guys don't have kids.
Nope.
Chad does, right?
He has a stepson. Yes.
A stepson, okay. But none of that live at the house.
Right.
So it's you and him, but you've got dogs.
Yes.
And those are like your children, right?
Yes.
How many dogs?
Two.
What are their names again?
Jake and Josie.
Yes.
Two Basset Hounds.
Didn't Jake just have a birthday?
He did just have a birthday. He just turned 5.
Oh my goodness. And how old is Josie?
Josie will be 4 shortly.
Okay.
Like later this summer.
Are those two dogs like from the same litter? Not litter, I guess, but
they're from the same mom and dad, yes.
okay.
So they are brother and sister. They're just a year apart.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. They keep us they're very spoiled.
Yeah.
But they keep us very busy. And we just got new furniture and we had to clean the old. And I told Chad, I said, this is why we're not getting dogs anymore.
Yeah.
But it's fun. I mean, they are little kids. They're very spoiled.
A little spoiled. I know about maybe 2 months ago, you were going through a hassle trying to get a new door.
Doggy door.
Doggy door. And I remember that was throwing you for a whirlwind.
Yeah.
But to the point that these dogs are spoiled, but you also want to make sure that they get their activity, because
Yes.
your health and your fitness,
Yes.
just for you and Chad, also bleeds
Yes.
into your doggies.
It really does. And, and I told Chad the other day, because I had to run home because it was storming.
Yep.
And I'm like, if the door blows open,
Yep.
So I ran home and I said, man, I wonder how many miles I put on my car just going back and forth. And that's partly why, is like, when I'm here, I want to be focused, and I don't want to be like, okay, I know I have 30 minutes, but I'm going to run home and check on my dogs, go there for 4 minutes and come back. And it's just silly. So they do need to go out during the day, but that just gives me peace of mind. So yes, they're very spoiled, but
what does Chad do in the winter when it snows and we get, enough snow? Or these basset hounds,
the answer.
They're low riders. Right? I do know the answer. I'm leading the witness here.
They are
They're low riders.
Yes.
So they don't do well like stomping through the snow. So what does Chad do for them?
So first of all, Chad made them little ramps, because the doggy door is in the glass patio door, and they can't get to that patio or get to the ramp or the door without a ramp. So we have steps on the inside, and he made little steps on the outside.
Let's go, Chad.
And, like the first winter, we did the, obligatory, like, shovel the little circle.
Yes.
And now Chad goes in the back and he snow blows little path. And, like, not just a little area, like paths, like a racetrack, so that they have.
Does he, like, almost do, like a maze where, like, some ends are dead end and they have to turn around? Like,
that's a good idea for next year.
Okay, so 2024 winter. Chad, your job, buddy, is to make these dogs
Chad.
Chad, not Jill, Chad. Make these dogs a maze where only certain paths lead to the start and others stop. But that's fun. So you and Chad, though, incorporating health and fitness, it sounds like you guys have both done it together now for a while.
Yep.
Chad has been super consistent. You have been consistent, making sure that whatever gym you're at or virtual program you're doing, that you're continually doing something. So how do you guys find the time to fit it in?
Right.
Like, how do you do that?
I feel like, it's definitely more fun when we can work out together, but some days I work at nights and he works out when I'm working. And when I first moved to Sioux Falls with him in 2018, so many restaurants. Like, we lived in a very small town before we came here. And so once we moved to Sioux Falls, we kind of went crazy at first, and we ate out all the time.
Yep.
And we both got to a point where, like, we just got to stop.
Yep.
And I actually joined a gym first.
Sure.
And he came with me the first day. And like many of our clients, he was like, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
And then he was like, man, I used to be an athlete. I used to be able to do this stuff. And so now I feel like it's very much a habit.
Yep.
Like, we feel it's just part of our routine. We have to make sure that it's a part of our routine. Like, if one of us, if we don't work out for a day or two, like, it's just something's off.
Yeah.
And so, being able to talk about, well, what was your workout like today? What was mine? Oh, I did this instead of this. And, so now we're on this track where we do plan our meals.
Sure.
We're not perfect. The other night he was like, I think Qdoba sounds really good.
Oh, yeah.
And
I don't know when Qdoba doesn't sound good.
Right, exactly.
I'm going to just throw that out there.
That's true. That's true. So he just gives me this look like, so what are we having for supper tonight? And as soon as he says that, I know. But we used to literally go out to eat like many times a week.
Yep.
And now we're at this point where we're putting in all this hard work. We love working out. We spend the time and we commit to doing it. What's the point of ruining it with not following our nutrition?
Yeah.
So
and you've been doing really well. Because at FitBody, we have a FitBody nutrition app.
Yep.
And you've been doing really well, staying consistent. And we have green rings, right?
Yes.
Why don't you tell maybe anyone that doesn't know what's a green ring? Like, what is that?
Sure. So we focus on the grams of protein, carbs, and fats that we eat per day.
Yep.
Ideally, if you're eating each of those within what is recommended for you to either lose weight or maintain weight, you get a green circle within so many. So, like, for example, if I'm supposed to have 120 grams of protein, and I get 118, I'm still going to have a green circle.
Sure.
So it's, like people with their Apple Watch and closing the ring, it's kind of like that.
Yep.
So it's a very good, if you're a visual person and you're very competitive with yourself and you feel very accomplished by getting those green rings.
Yeah, because otherwise they're not green, right?
Right.
So if you hit
either
green,
blue or red.
Yep. So blue means you didn't eat enough.
Right.
And red means you ate too much.
Right.
Yep. So the goal is 3 green rings every day, and carbs, fats, and proteins.
I don't get 3 green rings every single day, I get pretty close. Like
Yeah.
I eat a lot of the same things, so that's beneficial.
Yep.
But I'm also, Vicky also challenged me to track for 100 days straight.
Yeah.
So I'm on day about 42.
Yeah.
So I've tracked every day, even if we went to Qdoba,
Yep.
I still tracked it
Track
because
it.
that's reality.
Yep.
Because what I find is if I say, well, I'm going to Qdoba, I can't really track that.
Yeah.
Then I just eat whatever I want that day because I'm not going to get the green circle anyway, so I might as well just eat everything.
Sure.
So I have to be very disciplined with that, and tracking every day is very helpful for me, even if I don't get the circle. But yes, the goal is always to get the green circles, and that makes me feel pretty good.
I feel like so many times in the fitness industry and in losing weight, and I actually did a podcast on this a while ago, but about like ditching the all or nothing mentality.
Mhm.
Because to that point, if I can't track all of it and get a green ring every day,
Right.
well, then I won't track anything. That's all or nothing. And we know that that's not going to help us.
Right.
Even tracking as much as you can or to the best of your ability is going to be a better idea and provide a better outcome than just throwing it to the wayside and say, whatever, eat what I want today.
That's something that I really, really struggled with. And the challenge of tracking for 100 days is really helping with that.
Yeah.
Because I'm very black and white with a lot of things. I'm very all or nothing. But I also then that sets me up because I set expectations for myself that are not realistic and that I can't possibly achieve.
Yeah.
Like if I would think I could get 100 green circles for 100 days, it's just not reality and it's not going to happen. I mean, I guess it could, but I know myself and I know I have to be able to commit to something. And that's where the little wins come in. I know we talked about, this is kind of going off topic, but I know we talked about making our bed. And that one day we joked with Jensen and you said, but was your goal to make your bed? And he said, no, because I said, I always make my bed because that's at least one thing I can say, oh, I made my bed today. If nothing else, maybe I didn't get all my water in or maybe I didn't get all my protein in, but I made my bed.
Right.
Like I'm
starting the day with a win.
Exactly. And I feel like with the all or nothing, it's like I didn't get the circles, so I did nothing right today. Yeah. So there always have to be, in my opinion, some small wins.
Have to.
So I also set my water goal like in my head low.
Sure.
So that no matter how bad my day is, if I can say I had, let's say 32 ounces of water, which isn't enough, but it's better than none.
Yep.
I always have some goals that I set low so that I always have a win every single day.
And I think that that's really important to kind of stop for a second and highlight, because I feel that if you watch the TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, famous people, there's a way to do it and it's their way.
Right.
And the truth of it is that every single one of us are our own person and we have what works for us, right? Someone out there might be listening and say, you set your water goal low at 32 ounces. Like that's not the way to do it. But if that works for you, then who is that person to say that that's not the way to do it?
And to be clear, like I drink more than 32, but now I feel like, oh, I just kicked that goal because I got way more than I make sure that I get at least half my body weight. But I know that if there's a day where I'm sick and I'm laying on the couch and I can't even hardly move, I can at least do 32 ounces.
Yeah.
So no matter what, even if I didn't eat that day or I was feeling bad so I didn't eat the right things, I can always at least have that one. So I do drink more than that.
Right.
But
that's just one of the wins.
Exactly. I just have to have some. Like, for example, I usually get 15 to 20,000 steps easily just because of my job.
Yeah.
So my goal is like 8,000 steps a day.
Yep.
Like that's pretty easy for me to hit, but internally my goal is higher, but at least I know that I can say, okay, I got that. And again, it gets me on that streak.
Because when you're working 15 to 20, no problem. Right. But then a Saturday or a Sunday come around,
I have to push for it.
You have to push it for some time because 8,000 is, still a lot of steps.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and that's just it, because we're looking at, doing something that progresses you forward for an extended period of time, consistently.
Exactly.
And because that's how you achieve success. So many people are the all or nothing for a short time. And the truth of it is, and that's why a lot of different gyms or programs, they do these short challenges and it is all in. And that's great because sometimes we need that kickstart, that kick in the butt to get us going. But we need something that we can do for a consistent, long period of time, because that's how we're going to find sustained success. So when you think of your health and fitness and kind of where you're at, where would you say is kind of the next goal that you want to achieve with your health and fitness, or something that would really make you proud as it pertains to kind of your health and fitness?
Sure. Well, the 100 days is a huge goal of being able to track.
And you said you're 42-ish?
I know July 31st is the last day. I already got my 30-day badge of honor that I did that. So I know, I think when I counted it out, July 31st. And then, so in my head, I'm like, ooh, what do I all have in July?
Yeah. So this episode will actually be coming out like early August.
So I'll have already crushed it.
Yeah, heck yeah. So now when people see that, like, they can be asking, like, Jill, did you do it?
Yes.
And obviously the goal is to say, yes, I did it. Tracked for 100 days. So that's cool. July 31st.
Yep. I think for me right now, my biggest goal is to focus on increasing my muscle. I've been, I've had a bum knee for a little bit. And so I think it's really easy for me to use that as an excuse.
Yeah.
And so I think I've been kind of doing that and saying, well, I really can't do a lot with my legs right now or whatever. So then there were days where the all or nothing, well, if I can't do that in the workout, why even go? And I don't know if it was you or I think it was Vicky that said, if a client came to you and said, I can't do this exercise, if I come to the workout today, I can't do 3 of the exercises. So why even come?
Yeah.
And she said, and what would you say to them? And I'd say, I would still tell them to come.
Yep.
And so that was kind of, I got off my little pity pot and I was like, yep, that's exactly what I need to do.
Yep.
And so I would think I was using that as an excuse. And there have been times in my life where I had a lot more muscle mass. And so I think right now that's my goal.
Yep.
You and I have talked about that as far as lifting a little bit more weight.
Yeah.
We just rearranged my house this weekend where I moved my weights upstairs. So they're like right there and I don't have to like go down they're like right there.
And that's important too. And I think that people watching or listening could even take that away as a tip, is like, life is full of obstacles.
Right.
So if we can take any obstacles that we have control over and eliminate them, for you, and maybe it was an obstacle, you didn't see the weights, they weren't easily accessible, you had to go downstairs into a separate space. Well, now they're right there ready to go. Like, that is eliminating obstacles so that it's more convenient. So we need to do what we can to set our lives up for success.
And I think I know myself. I might be able to fool myself in my head sometimes, but I know myself better than anybody. Like, I know what excuses I'm going to come up with. I know what I know what I'm going to say as to a reason why I can't do something. And so, yes, I'm trying to get those obstacles out of the way. I am getting them out of the way little by little.
Yep.
With the shed, working out over there my excuse was, well, I don't know how to use the machines.
Yep.
And then I was silly enough to bring that up to you, and then you're like, well, let's fix that, and then you showed me how to do them. So but but that's what I have to do, is I know what excuses I can come up with, and I don't want to be a person full of excuses. So I find ways to I think about that. Like, I try to plan my week. Here's the days I'm going to work out, here's the workouts I'm going to do. Here I plan my meals for the week. I don't always get them in the app for the whole week ahead of time, but I plan my meals for the week so that I know, like, okay, this is a day that I know I might have to work a little later, or I have to bring my car in that morning, so I'm not going to have time. So I need to make sure I get my workout. And then, planning ahead for me is huge.
Yeah.
And then, like, to that point is looking ahead and saying, okay, I'm probably going to be tired that morning, so I know I'm not going to feel like working out, but this is what I can do to kind of combat that, or this is what I can do to make sure that it happens. And that's how I find the most successes.
Having that game plan.
It's very huge for me. Like, I sometimes will even like write it down. Like, I don't have kids, but like I'll have a little like whiteboard thing that I will have to write, like, here's my schedule for the week and here's what I have going on. And if I don't plan, I can easily say, oh yeah, I did, and something comes up, more often than not that might change it, but I already know, like, I've committed to working out that day. So even if it's at 8:00 when I get done at work, it's going to get done.
There's no questions asked.
Right.
I'm going to do it. I didn't do this with Jason or Ryan, but it's kind of like came to me. I want to like break the script a bit, because I think it is fun to be able to kind of peel back the curtain into our lives a bit and just kind of get to know us a little better. Super easy question. But is there like a favorite trip that you have been on? So not health or fitness related, but just thinking about vacations or trips or places that you've been. Is there anywhere that you could say that you went and that was one of your favorite vacations?
I would say, I mean, I've been to like Poland a couple times, and
Really?
I've been to Turkey, but honestly, so as a kid, I grew up in Minnesota, right across the border.
Okay.
And so, as a kid, we went to the Black Hills one time, maybe
Sure.
I can remember getting in the station wagon, driving out to the Black Hills.
Sure.
But Chad and I went there, like, we've gone there the last 2 falls, like in September. And honestly, that's just awesome. Like being there, the first time we went, I think it was COVID, because I remember wearing a mask.
Sure.
And we did the whole touristy thing. We went to Mount Rushmore. We went to Bear Canyon.
Yeah.
We did all the touristy things. But it was just, that one was fun because I hadn't done it since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And to see it, like, for example, going to Mount Rushmore and learning about the history and how they actually accomplished it. Like, I didn't care about that as a kid, but now as an adult, it was very interesting. And even going through like the Badlands and stuff, or like Spearfish, is beautiful. And seeing things now as an adult, I think it's just so different.
Sure.
Like as a little kid, I probably didn't even pay attention to the beauty of nature and the scenery.
Right.
And so now last year when we went, it was for our first anniversary, and we did a lot of hiking, which is, I've never gone on a vacation and actually done healthy things. So I know it wasn't about health, but.
Well, because to my knowledge, Chad is your first husband that you've had, because you've had a couple. we've got backstories about our previous lives.
He's not my first husband yet.
But he's the first husband that you've had that's been physically active and like actually encouraged and promoted health and wellness in your marriage.
Yes.
And so this is the first trip that you've taken where that was part of it.
Yeah. And so now, and we were climbing up, I forget now what it's called, something peak. People listening will know, but we ran out of daylight. And so we had to decide to turn back, and we were so close. We were like a quarter mile from the top. Yeah. And we had to turn back. And so now our goal is to go back this year and finish it. Cool. I think it's Harney Peak. But anyway, so now to me, that was one of the most enjoyable vacations. Yeah. Because one, we got away from reality, and and it was just being with somebody like-minded and making fitness a part of it. Like before, it would have been, honestly, in my younger days, it would have been about drinking and going to the bars and going gambling or going to Deadwood or doing something like that. And, now it was completely like, okay, what can we do outside? What can we go visit? Things like that. So it's just a whole nother, am I grown up now?
Yeah, right?
It's like an adult thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. I do want to like dive in a little bit though. You said Poland and Turkey. When did you go there?
So my ex-husband was from Poland. He was born in Poland.
Okay.
So he still
I didn't know this.
Yeah, so he still had family there. Still has family. So like his grandparents and stuff, and he spoke fluent Polish. Okay. So we went to Poland a couple times.
Did you learn how to speak Polish?
I tried.
It didn't work very well.
It's not an easy language to learn.
I don't know any other language.
And I think it learned from a baby, not when you're when you're 30 years old. But, sure. So I went to Poland a couple times, which was very interesting. It's very beautiful there. Yeah, I bet. And then I have a friend from Omaha that was from Turkey. Okay. And she went back every year. She just got a really good job. She was at Georgia Tech, and now she's going to Clemson, I think. And she's like cool. She's like the dean of engineering. She's cool. Really important. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, so I went back with her. She goes back every year, and she has an archaeological dig that they continue to work on every year. So somebody guards it during the time they're not digging. And then she takes a class from the college every summer, and they go work on this dig.
In Turkey?
In Turkey.
Oh, wow.
And so I went with her, and I didn't go on the dig, but I met her.
How long ago did you go there?
2010 was the last time I went, but she goes every year, so I could go.
Do you think you'd go back? Like, do you foresee in your future going back to Turkey or Poland for that matter?
Not probably Poland.
Not Poland. leave
I don't
leave
think I'd
those
go
memories
stay
in
with
the
my
past.
ex-in-laws.
No.
I mean, it's a beautiful country.
Yeah.
But Turkey, I definitely would.
Yeah.
We were very short, so we went on time. So we went to Istanbul. Okay. Which is absolutely beautiful. Yeah. Which I didn't know. There's a bridge between 2 continents, so you're right on 2 continents. I did not know that.
Me and geography.
Asia and Europe. I didn't know that either.
Horrible.
And so, but we had to see the city in one day, and it's absolutely, I mean, like, we don't have stuff like that here that's that old. And but anyway, so I would definitely go back. We were so rushed, and we stayed at a resort on the Caribbean. Yeah. And
do you think Chad would go with you to Turkey? I guess is Chad
I don't think
traveler?
Chad would be invited.
Sorry, Chad. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, sorry. He is, but not. I mean, we both, like, if I'm gone for like 10 days, like, that's the max. I'm not the best traveler. Sure. I'm kind of a homebody, but I don't. He probably would enjoy it. Sure. But it would be more meaningful, I think, to me. Yeah. Just because it's my friend and where she's
Yep.
from, and
Got you.
you know,
So
stuff
you
like
would
that.
probably go back there with your friend, not really foresee going there without her.
Not without her,
Yep.
no.
Cool.
And it's nice to have her because, like, they lost my luggage. There's only one flight from Chicago to Turkey every day, so I had to wait 24 hours.
Yeah.
And it was very beneficial for her to speak Turkish because I didn't.
Help
and
you out. Yeah.
So I think I would go back with her.
Yeah.
Chad and I talk about it. We're just not big, huge travelers.
Sure.
So although it would be great to see all these places
Yep.
overseas, realistically,
Yeah, it's not realistic.
I
for
do
you
have
guys.
a friend in Canada that lives in Australia, and
Okay.
I would go with her. That would be awesome.
Sure.
I think Chad, that's just a long trip.
Yeah. Super long.
Yeah, like
Super
7,
long.
10 days. That's like my
Yeah.
max.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So kind of reeling it back into fitness and Fit Body. What would you say is like your favorite part about being a coach at Fit Body?
I think just being able to build people's confidence. So I was gonna say, like, to be a part of the experience.
Yep.
But the way that I would say that is when we talked at the beginning about that uneasy feeling, or I myself, like, when I was coming up with my why a long time ago, it was like, think of all these words that, you know, that mean something to you, and confidence was one of them.
Yeah.
And that one stuck out to me because I've never been a confident person. Like, I just have never. My husband, naturally confident.
Sure.
I'm so not. And so I've struggled with that a lot of my life, where I don't have that confidence, and I don't think I can do things. And so, like, the Murph was the perfect example. Like, I mean, like, it was almost emotional, like watching people that never thought they could do a pull-up and doing pull-ups with bands, and they just didn't even think they could.
I actually don't know if you've seen it, but I got some footage back from our videographer. I haven't shared with the team yet, but I was looking at some of it. And it might even be in the one video that we posted, but there's a small clip where you're there and you're helping do pull-ups. And you're like counting them, 8, 9, and you could just see the smile in your face, because it is. And I can relate to, well, two things that you just said. Number one, I can also relate to not having a ton of confidence, and still to this day, like, daily working on my confidence. But then number two, just being part of that journey and helping others achieve something like that, and getting emotional about it. But like being able to be there and just you're holding on to like their calves, their knees, and you're just there's a little bit of extra support, a little bit of extra oomph to help them get those pull-ups in. And it's such an accomplishing feeling to be part of that.
And I think just to be able to, you know, like we talked about, having a safe place to work out and having a fun place to work out, and, you know, so being able to bring the energy and making people feel comfortable and feeling that they can do things, and celebrating them, you know, even if they, you know, if they say, well, I can't do a push-up. Can you do one on your knees? Can you do one on the wall? There you go. And just helping people see themselves how I see them. Like, that's important to me, because I know there are still people, especially with the confidence thing, that look at me and they see me different than I see myself. And so for me to try to be able to help people see how amazing and strong and wonderful and beautiful they are, like, this is the perfect way for me to be able to do that, because I'm in their lives daily, and you know, no matter how confident they are, there's a new exercise, or there's a new personal record, or something else that they want to try. And just to be able to, like I said, I know people were that for me. When people didn't believe in me, or when I didn't believe in me and people believed in me. And told me, yes, you can do this. Yes, you know, you will get there. I know it's day one, but you'll get there. Like, so for me to be able to be a part of that for someone else is just
awesome.
Huge.
And I can actually remember sitting, and normally I don't really have a lot to do with like the interview process.
I remember.
But I can remember kind of sitting there with you during that. And until that point, you had worked kind of in a similar industry, but mainly worked in more basically corporate America type jobs. And in that ability to be there for someone like that, you didn't have that. And so I can definitely see, since you've been with us at Fit Body, like, that is something that continues to have you shine, continues to have you putting in the early mornings, and then the next week, the late evenings, and having that kind of schedule that sucks, if we're being honest, right? Like, having a coach's schedule isn't the best. We have to be working when others are not, so that they can come work out. But being there for others in that way, it's something that, you know, keeps me going. I can see that it keeps you going.
Yeah,
That's super cool.
You made me cry in the interview. I do remember that. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know why I'm getting so emotional.
Yeah.
And that we were talking about the Spartan race for that one, where I got to be a part of that, and there was like 150 women that completed a Spartan, and and some all fitness levels.
Yeah.
Some that couldn't barely walk a mile. It took some that could run, and just to be able to see. I mean, like some of them would cry. They were so proud of themselves, and they went into it thinking there's no way I could ever do this. And so just to be able to help people see themselves like that, it fills my cup. It's just, there's nothing like it.
Yeah. What would you say is something that you kind of look forward to as we continue progressing with FitBody and kind of like looking at FitBody, where we're at, where we're trying to go, what we're trying to do? Like, what is something that you're looking forward to as we look kind of into the future with our careers and FitBody and what we do for others?
I think just to be able to, like even being the client coordinator. So like coaching is awesome and I love it, but I've learned more about people and gotten to know people even more by being the client coordinator. So I feel like being in that role where as we grow, continuing to know every person individually. So no matter how big we get, it's that we don't ever lose sight of that. And the client is the whole reason we're doing this and not just, somebody. And, there are times like today, there was somebody that was in the 815 that I didn't know, which is rare.
Yeah.
But I introduced myself and I said, I'm sorry, I haven't met you yet. And, and it's going to happen sometimes, but I just coming from corporate America where they don't care who you are. I mean, as long as you come in and you answer the phone or you do what you're supposed to do, nobody really knows who you are and doesn't care. So I think that is a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
And I feel like as we grow and as we get more members, keeping that small gym feeling though, and making sure that everybody still feels like this is a fun, safe, encouraging place to work out. I think that is important. And I'm just so excited to be a part of it, and wherever we go, I'm just excited to be a part of it. And I would love that to be expanded. Like I said, we talked about this, like you can get on the mic and you can be a coach and you can inspire people, but that's not your whole job. Like, anybody could come in and pretend enough to get through a 30-minute session and just get on the mic and say the right things. But to be able to have the opportunity outside of that role to be involved with members and, Family Friday, fun days and the outings that we do and things like the Murph where you truly get to know people on the individual level and see a different side of people. That's what I would love to be part of. And like Vicky talked about the other day, like never forgetting that people aren't just people. Like they're not just clients. Like we care about every person that walks.
Everybody has their own story. Everybody's going through something we don't know about.
Exactly.
And the cool thing is in the role that you're in, you get to learn about those things. I do. And then you get to walk side by side with them.
Exactly.
And walk through those with them.
And, just even from life experience, like, most of my struggles and my addiction and things like that in my life. And I've had so many jobs where nobody's ever even known that about me. And that's like the biggest part of who I am and who brought me to who I am today is what I've gone through. And I've shared that with more people here than I've ever shared at any job, just because I know that if it will help someone else, even if it's my fitness journey, not anything else about recovery or anything like that, but I'm in a place where I can share that. And, it isn't just sitting down next to somebody at a corporate world, job that you don't know the first thing about them, or, or they go to the bar after work and that's the only way you know somebody. So I just can't ever imagine even going back to that because it's so different.
It is very different. And I tell the team this, I don't enjoy working. We have to, right? And so the fact that we get to do this as work, and overcoming obstacles, whether they're health and fitness related obstacles or just obstacles in general, is such a crucial part to becoming that version of ourselves that we all so badly desire to be.
And being able to share that with people if they, if somebody came up to me and said like, well, you're a coach. You've probably always been fit. And it's like, no, actually I haven't.
Come sit with me, friend.
And I still struggle. I still have struggles every day. And, like we just talked about excuses. And I mean, it's a constant, I constantly have to work on myself and I constantly want to be better.
Yep.
I'm not okay to just go in and do my job and go home and not be affected by it and not be able to share experience with people that if I think it will help them.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we kind of wrap up our time together, which I do think we could keep talking. It's been awesome.
You and I together.
Yeah. Oh, I know. When we were in Michigan, how long was that drive? 14 hours?
Yeah.
We just talked the whole way. But what is something someone's watching, listening, maybe they're thinking about starting their health and fitness journey. What would be a tip that you could give them today that they could kind of take action on to help moving them in the right direction?
Sure. I would say, don't be afraid to take that first step.
Yeah.
Even if it's going to be going for walks outside and maybe you're not ready to walk into a gym, find what brings you joy and what brings you a peace or a sense of value and peace. And just know that you're worth it. Yeah. For a long time. And I hear this from other people, when I reach out to people and say, hey, I haven't seen you for a couple of weeks. What's going on? And they're like, oh, I started putting everybody else first.
Yeah.
I think nothing against guys, but I think as females, especially, we seem to do that so much.
Absolutely.
Everybody else is more important. And I think realizing your value and realizing that you are worth it, first of all, because you have to want to invest in yourself and you have to think that you're worth investing in. And I can tell you right now that you are.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest hurdle. And then the second one is actually walking in the front door.
Yeah.
And, making that phone call, picking up that heavy phone, which doesn't make sense anymore because we have cell phones, but that 10-pound phone, and making that call or sending that email and saying, hey, I'm interested. Like that's a scary thing to do.
It's super scary.
I would say you will never regret it. Putting yourself first and making yourself a priority is never going to be something that you would regret.
I love it. That is amazing advice. And if you would like to take more action on that advice, you can find a link kind of down in the description of this video. Or if you just go to 605fitbody.com, you can either claim a free week or we have a new trial program going on that you can click on and that you can partake in. And with Jill being our amazing client coordinator at the central location, if you come to the central location, Jill will lock arms with you and be on that journey with you. But thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. Jill, thank you for taking time to be here. This has been awesome. I'm assuming that kind of this Meet the Coaches series will be quite a lot of fun for our clients and just for those that kind of know a little bit about us but want to know more about us. We'll probably have to do a Meet the Coaches 2 where we kind of come back down the road. But Jill, thank you so much. To everyone else watching, listening, go out and be that amazing person that you are today and do us a huge favor. Like, subscribe, and share this episode because Fit and Healthy Sioux Falls would not be here without you. Have an awesome day, you guys. Bye-bye.